Okay, so it's now time for us to fix up the scores and make the game end when we get to one of these two middle sprites, and we probably will have a look at what else is going on with the score. So the first thing I need to do here is to click on the sprites that I want to deal with. So I'm dealing with vegetables, and at the moment we've got the score changing by a positive of 1. Well, vegetables are pretty healthy, and we might say, look, we're going to give all of these different foods a different rating. So we might say a vegetable, well, that's going to add 3 to your score, because vegetables are fairly healthy for us. A pizza, we might say, well, a pizza, well, we don't want to add score for a pizza. We might take away 3, for example, of that score. And then we can go through and do that for all of these other ones. So meat, you might add a couple, lettuce, you might add a couple, ice cream, take some away. Donuts, you might go, well, they're really bad, let's take 5 off for those. Or fish has got all those good oils and everything, so we'll give them a +5. And that way we can have a bit of a score working out as we go through. So go ahead and do all of those. But the last thing that we need to do to end our game, because in here we said we're going to continue doing this until we're at the center of our maze. So when we get to the center of our maze, I'll just zoom out a little bit on this so that you can see the whole thing happening. So at the moment we're starting here. We haven't made our title, we'll do that in a moment, but the player can move around deciding what to eat. If they eat something unhealthy, we're reducing their score. If they're eating something healthy, we're increasing their score, and we're checking, are they in the center of the maze? If it's not, it goes back and they can continue to move around. If they are at the center of the maze, we want to give them their score and end the game. So let's look how we can do that. So we've got 2 sprites in the middle here, so these 2 we're going to have to change a little as to what these 2 are going to do. So let's have a look. When we get to here, we want to do something. If the score is that, we want to change that by 3, and we want to do something called a broadcast. So a broadcast is where it's going to yell something out to the rest of the game, and it's going to yell out a new message, which is end. So another part of the program will be listening for that end. So at the moment we're just going to broadcast end if we hit the vegetables, and we want to do the same thing, we want to broadcast end if we get to the pizza. So we will then come back over here to our main sprite that is doing all our moving around, and we're going to get it to be listening. So when it hears, when it receives end, so we're not going to use a flag here. When it hears end, and only when it hears end, we want it to do something. At the moment we'll just leave that blank, but we'll put it there so that we know we want to come back and do that. So let's have a look at our game at the moment. If we start our game and we run around and we eat that, we just got a point for that. We just got another 5 points for eating that, and some more points. We lost a point for eating that, and we can move around and keep eating all these different fruits and vegetables and meats until we get to the middle. When we eat one of these, it should have broadcast end, and it did, but we just haven't told it what to do with end. So for the moment, let's just put a little thing in here that says stop everything. So let's try that again. Oops, we do have a little problem there. We need our mouth to start back here. So let's do that. Let's put it in its position that we want it to start from. Okay, that's where we want it to start. So let's force it at the beginning of the game. Before we go moving anything around, let's force a few things to happen. Let's make it jump to that position, which is nicely already written in for us. And then it's going to, we'll be able to move around. So let's just try that. So if I started here, it's jumping back and the game's continuing. So that was a little problem that we just solved. So let's come around and let's get ourselves to the center here and see what happens now if we... Okay, so the game has stopped. We can build in here other things to happen in a moment. So we've set our scores, we've got it to end, but if I start the game again, my score is still 11. Well, that's not very good. So in here, where we're doing our at the beginning information, let's set the score back to 0. So let's start that again, and now our score goes back to 0. Alrighty, so they're the things that you need to do. Go ahead and fix all of your food items here so that you're changing your score by what you want it to be, whether it's healthy or not healthy. We want to make sure that our two sprites that we have in the middle, we've added a broadcast here to end, and back on our main sprite we're putting in when you hear and stop everything, but we're doing a couple of little things at the beginning. We're setting our score back to 0 and we're setting the start position for the mouth. Alrighty, have a go at that and we'll see you on the next one.